Hey guys, number one for this week. I'm actually down in what they call part of the rhododendron lawn, probably because there's a lot of rhododendrons, it's a type of flower. But you know that probably nearly 3 months ago, maybe, in the middle of winter here, when it was a really rainy day, and I filmed in the glass house with the tropical gardens, and Dave was with me, and I found out yesterday they're going to tear it down. So I thought I'd come for a last visit because they're going to start doing it. I think they already have. It looks kind of empty. It's up there, so I'm going to go have a look at that later. It's a bit sad. It's been a good place to come and sort of walk around on a really horrible weather day, and now you won't be able to. I think the cost has just gotten too much, you know. However, we still have beautiful outdoor gardens, so come see those. Anyway, this week we're in Ether 12 to 15, and chapter 12 is probably the main focus of this week's study, although there's some really good things in 15. And it's kind of a very basic rundown that's synopsisized, if that's a word, from Moroni to sort of really illustrate that it just goes so quickly. Anyway, this didn't work and that didn't work, and the people and yeah. And Ether himself is just frustrated, and Ether goes into, this is where we sort of slow down to the end of the Jaredite people. So Ether goes in to talk to the people after pleading with the Lord to be able to, and he does, and they don't listen. And does that sound familiar? I'm sure it does. We've had that this year. It's very similar to the end of Moroni's time. So I think he sort of felt a lot of a lot in common with Ether, and how this was, and how Ether had to hide in a rock, and how Moroni was probably writing this while he too was hiding in a rock. So think about that, and just remember that there's been a lot of times where, for me, I just think this whole week of Ether looking at this, he's looking at this people's destruction, knowing that he can't do anything. And how many times in our lives do we sit there and we just have to watch the destruction, or watch someone self-destruct, because we literally can't do anything. That it's their life and their choices, and we want to help, we want to make it better, and we just can't. And it is heartbreaking to sit there and watch that happen. And I can see Ether on the ridge of a hill overlooking the battle, and just shedding tears of sadness for this people that were so hard-hearted. So I feel for Ether, and I'd like to meet the guy one day. But anyway, we're going to read some about him, but we're going to go to verse 6. Now this is where Moroni interjects. Verse 4 is really good, and link that up. Actually, link verse 4 with Romans 4:18, because it's very similar to what Paul said about faith and hope, and having an anchor, and it's all tied up. Faith, hope, and charity is where it all sort of ties in there. So have a read of that one. But we're going to read verse 6. And verse 6 says, "And now I, Moroni, would speak somewhat concerning these things. I would show unto the world that faith is things which are hoped for and not seen. Wherefore dispute not, because ye see not, for ye receive no witness until after the trial of your faith." So while I understand this principle, how would you explain this principle to someone else? It's actually quite difficult, because the world teaches us today that seeing is believing. And we know that's not true, because we see so many things on the internet and they're not real. A lot of them are, so many of them are not. So seeing actually isn't believing. But we've been brought up in a society, in a structure, in a culture that seeing is believing. We need evidential proof. We need it right in front of us where we can understand it to show, yes, we'll believe that. But just because you can't see something with your human eyes, it doesn't mean it isn't true. In this case of faith, it's believe and then see, not seeing is believing. And the scriptures are full of people who saw signs and miracles, angels, and even Jesus Christ, and they still didn't believe. As Moroni says here, you do not receive a witness of this truth until after gaining faith through trial and testing. And it is actually after a trial of testing your faith that you gain sight. And it's an interesting one. But anyway, got a really good quote from Elder Holland. I really like I love Elder Holland. It's like my 16th cousin or something, and I was just like, I know that probably thousands of us are, but you know, hey, I'll claim it. Anyway, he said, God is eagerly waiting for the chance to answer your prayers and fulfill your dreams, just as he always has. But he can't if you don't pray, and he can't if you don't dream. In short, he can't if you don't believe. So if you're sitting out there feeling like God hasn't answered my prayers, I would say pray to see it and pray to believe it. Because if you start dreaming it, believing it, it's going to happen. And again, not in maybe the way you're thinking, but it will happen all the time. So pray to see it, because it will happen. I'd love to hear any experiences. If you've got them, please share. Nobody ever really comments on my videos, so I don't know. Maybe sometimes. Yeah, but that's that one. So how would you explain this principle? And do you struggle with this principle of the whole faith is things that are seen are not seen? You know, we're hoped for and not seen. So do you struggle with that? Do you struggle with hoping and not seeing? A lot of people do. You're not alone. There's some things to work on it. You got questions, please? But yeah, that's our first one. We're going to move on to Ether 12:27, which old scripture mastery, and I love it. I probably can't give it to you word for word by now, but it was one I really loved, and it kind of flows in with this whole message that we've just been talking about here. Okay, I'm gonna go for a walk that way, I think, because it looks beautiful over there too. Lovely gardens, again, beautiful. I'll give you a quick pan. Here we go. Look at that. Some beautiful flowers over there. Not quite sure what they are. But really pretty. I say that a lot, don't I? Really pretty. But it is pretty. And that's where I'm sitting. It's actually really warm in the sun here. It's only supposed to be 22 Celsius high today, but feels warmer. Okay, I'll see you in a bit.